Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to call to order our joint meeting of the City Council, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, Paris Joint Powers Authority, and the Paris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Paris. It's Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rogers?
Here.
Councilmember Nava?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Corona?
Here.
Councilmember Ra?
Here.
Mayor Vargas?
Here, thank you. We are still participating on Zoom. For those who are on Zoom, if you would like to make a public comment on the Zoom screen, please click on the participants button at the bottom of your screen. A list of participants will appear at the right side of the screen. At the bottom of this list, please click on the gray raised hand button. This will signal to the host that you would like to provide public comment, and you'll be added to the list. If you're using Zoom on your smartphone, tap on your screen. A new screen will pop up with a list of participants. Look for the raised hand button on the screen. And for those of you who are traditionally using a landline, you simply dial star 9 and on the keypad to say that you would like to make a comment. Hit star 9 again, and that will remove your request. Moving on to item 3 is our invocation, which will be led by Father Eliseo Napier from the St. James the Less Roman Catholic Church. If you please stand, remain standing for item 4, which will be our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilmember Rogers.
Good evening, everyone. Let's put now ourselves in the presence of God. God of all wisdom, you have promised that if anybody needs wisdom, we ask you, and you will give us that wisdom. I ask you to shower your wisdom upon our elected leaders in this city. Lord, help them to make wise decisions that are for the common good of your people and for your glory. Give them wisdom not because they have earned it, but because it is a free and gracious gift from your generosity. You are a generous, loving Father, and all wisdom is found in you. Give them all the wisdom they need right now. Show and complete the works they have started, so that peace, love, and equality be attained by the people they serve. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me as we salute our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father. Okay, item 5 is a report on closed session items. Mr. Dunn?
Thank you, Mayor. The council met in closed session to discuss the 2 items noted on the agenda, and no reportable action was taken tonight.
Thank you. Item 6 is presentations and announcements. We have none. Item 7 is our Youth Advisory Committee report. This will be given by Savannah Herrera, the President of the Youth Advisory Committee.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and City staff, good afternoon. I am honored to be YAC's President, Savannah Herrera. Today, I will be providing an update on YAC's latest and upcoming events. Job Shadow Day on March 3rd was quite a success, with more than 100 student participants. Students from different school districts had the opportunity to experience an in-depth look into different careers without the pressure of an internship. Moving forward, YAC is excited to participate in the Teen Broad Exchange on Wednesday, March 16th via Zoom. This is a great opportunity to collaborate and meet other youth committees in surrounding cities. On March 19th, YAC will be participating in the Fontana Summit. YAC will be hosting the Dangers of Drinking and Driving booth. The booth will include drunk goggles and a go-kart to understand the dangers of driving under the influence. In particular, YAC would like to bring awareness to National Nutrition Month. It is extremely important to eat healthy and exercise daily. Did you know that your brain uses 40% of the calories you intake? Thus, this affects your brain's ability to learn and adapt. YAC would like to remind everyone to eat healthy and not skip meals. Finally, YAC would like to remind everyone to please follow us on social media at Paris YAC for more updates and upcoming events. For more important information on YAC, feel free to call the Statler Youth Center. YAC would like to remind everyone to wear a mask and remain healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Council, I'm going to be moving up item, just had it in my, 12A, which is our update on the Mid-County Parkway report, so we can let our folks from the RCTC do their thing and move on. This item is going to be introduced by our city manager, Ms. Clara Miramontes.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. This item is regarding the Mid-County Parkway, which does consist of a 16-mile highway that stretches from State Route 79 in the Hemet Valley area and towards the east westerly to the I-215 freeway at Placentia Avenue through the city of Paris. The Riverside County Transportation Commission has been working with the city of Paris for quite some time, going back to 2011, where at that time the preferred alternative was approved by the city council, being alternative 9. With that came that the project would begin the construction in the city of Paris at Placentia Avenue, which is currently under construction at this time. And since then, there's been a series of legal challenges, and finally, in about 2017, the project cleared path to move forward with the construction of a multi-billion-dollar project. So due to the fact that there's the funding, not all the required funding is available at this time, RCTC has proposed an interim construction phase that would take place throughout the city of Paris. And we have Ann Mayer, the Executive Director of RCTC, to provide you the details of that proposed interim construction phase and also requesting any input as to the proposal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that introduction. Thank you, Mayor Vargas and members of the City Council, for inviting me to join you here this evening. This is my first meeting in person with the City Council in a couple of years, and I'm delighted to have it be in the city of Paris, and it's great to be back here. Before I get started, I did want to offer our condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Al Landers. He was very much an advocate for the city of Paris, and we were always pleased to work closely with him in his years on the council. So our condolences to the family and friends.
Thank you.
So before I get started talking about the Mid-County Parkway project, I did want to share that RCTC has very much valued its relationship with the city of Paris, and in fact, we have been very strong partners over the past decade or so in making really significant investments in this area. The Paris Valley Line project, the creation of the downtown Paris station, as well as the South Paris station, the widening of the Interstate 215, the reconstruction of D Street, the reconstruction of the 74 interchange. So there's been a lot of work here in the city of Paris, and we've always been grateful for our partnership. I'm joined this evening by Marlon Feenstra, our project delivery director, as well as Joy Edlis, the project manager for the Mid-County Parkway project. So first, what I'd like to do is give you a brief history of the Mid-County Parkway project. It actually was initiated as a part of the Riverside County Integrated Plan, which was a plan that was focused on integrating land use, transportation, and conservation. And in fact, it's a model of planning for the nation. The components related to transportation were the CTAP corridor, and for conservation, the Multi-Species Habitat Conservation Plan, and Paris is a member of the Regional Conservation Authority as well. So the Mid-County Parkway project was initiated as a result of the transportation component of the Riverside County Integrated Plan, and the EIS was approved in 2015. The three alternatives considered, as Clara mentioned, the city's preferred alternative was alternative 9, which is on the south end, closely aligning with Placentia Avenue. There were two other alignments to the north, but the city preferred alternative 9, and that was the alternative that RCTC went forward with as a result of the city's approval. The city adopted a resolution in 2011 selecting that alignment and asked for conditions associated with the approval of that alignment. The first was that the Placentia interchange needed to be included as a part of the Mid-County project, and it needed to be the first phase that was constructed. The Placentia interchange is currently under construction. Another was that construction needed to start on the west end of the Mid-County Parkway, recognizing that the whole facility could not be built at one, but we were asked to start on the west end at the 215 and move eastward. And that is what we have proposed here today with this first interim project. Another request was that we evaluate the possibility of an Ethernet corridor that would extend from the 215 to Interstate 15, and RCTC is working with the County of Riverside as well as the jurisdictions along the Ethernet corridor to study the option of additional transportation facilities to the west. So the Mid-County Parkway Alternative 9 interim project that we're looking at now is on a similar alignment. So what have we been doing since 2011, and what have we been doing since the environmental document got approved? As Clara mentioned, we had a couple of lawsuits associated with the project filed by environmental interests. Those lawsuits were all settled, and so we were cleared to move forward. We have started acquiring some of the mitigation lands. We've been restoring some of the mitigation lands along the corridor. We moved forward with the Placentia Interchange project that's under construction right now. We also, in 2016, the Commission had a strategic assessment analysis of all of our projects, evaluating how much funding was available, what project scopes were identified, and we were directed to move forward with this project in particular, looking at developing fundable and buildable packages like we had done in other projects within the county. Since the inception of this project, we have expended about $163 million on the environmental processes, the mitigation land, as well as the construction that you see underway. And we currently have $58 million programmed for future work for right-of-way as well as for preliminary design phases. So in terms of Mid-County Parkway construction costs, the entire corridor is currently estimated to be about $2.8 billion for the entire 16 miles of the full standard, full expressway. The ultimate Mid-County Parkway in the city of Paris is estimated at about $1.4 billion. You might ask why so much in the city of Paris, and that is because it includes an additional interchange, so more of like a freeway to freeway interchange that you might see. I'll use an example, maybe at the 6215-91 or the 1510 interchange, so a much larger interchange, freeway to freeway, as well as several miles of freeway widening up to Cajalco Road, because one of the conditions was that the 215 needed to be widened enough to handle additional traffic. The ultimate corridor did include plans to impact 92 dwellings, so 92 residential units in the city of Paris. The interim project we're proposing is $231 million and has impact to one dwelling. So City of Paris concerns. Mayor Vargas at our recent RCTC committee meeting, as well as Mr. Fung, clearly identified that the city was concerned, along with the letter that we received as well, the city was concerned about traffic, air, noise impacts of the interim condition. As a part of the proposal to move forward with the interim design, included within that is intended to be an environmental revalidation that would reassess the interim impacts on all of those components, traffic, air, and noise. We would also be looking at identifying the mitigation of those impacts. An example would be a sound wall along Placentia Avenue. I also wanted to point out, related to this, in addition to having to comply with the original environmental document and any reevaluation conducted in accordance with environmental regulations, as a part of those lawsuits that were mentioned earlier, we had a settlement agreement. As a part of the settlement agreement, we agreed, and I look at my notes here, we agreed that for properties within 500 feet, so residential properties within 500 feet of the corridor would receive funding for air filtration and sound insulation of their homes, and those within 1,000 feet would receive additional benefit as well. So part of the settlement agreement, we are obligated to provide those kinds of environmental mitigations to homes along the corridor that would be impacted. I'd also like to point out that we had another segment of the settlement that would require RCTC to provide funding for air filtration at schools adjacent to the corridor within the city of Paris, and then finally a $50,000 contribution to the city of Paris for improvements at Paragon Park. So in addition to the normal environmental requirements, the settlement agreement did require us to provide additional mitigation. We also understand that there's concern that since the environmental document was approved, that a high school has been built south of the corridor. It's roughly a half a mile away from the project, and there's concern about the impact at El Nido with the concern that students could try to walk across the corridor there. At this location, the new interim corridor would be probably about 40 feet above the surrounding ground, so it would be fenced off, so they would not have the opportunity to run across the road. And we've provided at Evans Road an undercrossing so that the Evans Road itself would be separated from any of future corridors. So we do understand that these are concerns that the city has. They're important concerns, and we would be evaluating all of them during a plan design and environmental phase. So next steps and where we are here today. So we certainly understand the concerns, and at our committee meeting, we had taken an item asking our commission to consider awarding a design contract to go to this interim phase. Based on the city's letter and the input provided at the meeting about the city's concern, many of the RCTC board members made it very clear that if the city council is not in support of an interim facility, that RCTC would not be proceeding. They did not take an action, but the comments were pretty clear that if the city council wasn't in support, that it would not be a project that we would want to move forward with. So your input is important. I will probably be going back to that same committee at the end of March to brief the committee on this conversation here today, any additional feedback that the city has, so that our commission can make a decision about what the next steps will be on the project. One of the important factors, or two important factors here as we're considering next steps with the project, independent of the city's position on the interim project or not, is that environmental documents like these require progress in order to maintain your environmental approvals. If we stop the project, pause the project, we will probably have to go back and do additional environmental analysis. So the EIR has a shelf life. We've been maintaining that progress that's been necessary. For example, besides the Placentia Interchange project, we're a partner with the city on the Placentia Avenue project that's currently underway. Because of its connection to the interim facility that we're proposing, we've been providing funding for the storm drain system as well as providing funding for the right-of-way. We've relocated several businesses along the corridor. Coronado Stone is one of them that we've relocated because of the nexus to our project. So we've been maintaining investment in the corridor. We've been maintaining progress in the corridor to make sure that that environmental document stays valid so that any subsequent work can be reevaluated. And in addition, there are federal funds, as I mentioned before. We've got about $58 million currently programmed of federal funds on this project for right-of-way as well as design. We will need to either expend those funds or reprogram. So we do have some external constraints as well. But it all rests with the position of the city council and your input and feedback. If we're in a position where the city council's position is that it needs to be the full expressway or nothing, and that's certainly a position that you have expressed so far, we would probably be in a position of just, we don't have $1 billion to build the corridor, and we would probably need to pause the project and refocus the money on another project elsewhere. But again, our committee members were very clear that they were not interested in proceeding with a contract such as this without the support of this council. So your input is critically important, and I think it was expressed very, very well by your representatives at the meeting. So I will close my comments there. Be happy to answer any questions. And also, we can make ourselves available to your staff in the coming weeks to have further discussions as well.
Thank you, and appreciate you coming out and your staff as well. Council, if you guys want to speak, please hit the Q button. Well, I guess no one wants to speak, and I guess you did such a great job. Councilman Corona, or Mayor Pro Tem?
Okay. Thank you for the presentation, for the update. I did have a question. I know that we did receive a letter that was actually written in June of 2011 that was sent to RCTC, that our council sent to RCTC at the time, and I saw that one of the items listed was kind of a list of things that our council requested the RCTC to do, and I know one of the items was to widen the 215 freeway from Nuevo Road to Van Buren, and I'm just wondering from 2011 if that was ever done.
So I'm going to have to turn to Marlon. So we did widen the 215, and time flies. I can't remember exactly which year it was. Marlon, what were the limits of the 215 Central project?
From Nuevo down to Scott Road.
So we went from Nuevo to Scott Road with the widening project where we took I-215 from 2 lanes to 3 lanes. So from Nuevo now all the way down to Murrieta, it's 3 lanes. So we did complete that component. We, as a part of Mid-County Parkway, this first, the segment I was talking about at $1.4 billion would include additional widening on top of what we've already done all the way up to Cajalco. And then we would have a later project that would go Cajalco up to Van Buren. Yeah, so part of it, I guess, long answer. We've done a good part of it.
Okay. And then I know originally the Mid-County Parkway, it was called Mid-County Parkway because it was supposed to go all the way down to the 15. And with some residents, I wonder if you could share some backstory about why that didn't happen.
Sure. So originally, the Mid-County Parkway was a 32-mile corridor that went from the eastern edge of, Hemet San Jacinto area all the way over to Interstate 15. So it was a full 32-mile corridor. When we went out with the environmental document, and this was probably, I think, in 2007, right around in there, there was significant objection to having a corridor between the 215 and 15 through the Gavilan Hills. So the proposed alignment was south of Cajalco Road through the Gavilan Hills, a very undeveloped area, and there was a lot of objection to it. So the commission made a decision because if we're looking at a $2.8 billion corridor at only 16 miles, you can probably double that for the whole 32 miles. The commission made the decision that because it was assured that there would be lawsuits related to the full 32-mile corridor, that in order to save the eastern half from the 215 out to San Jacinto, that to cut the project in half. Because the communities, at the time, the communities of Paris, San Jacinto, Hemet, the county wanted to see this section of the facility built. And it more closely followed existing roads, the area was more developed. So the commission cut the project in half, and Mid-County Parkway became only a 16-mile corridor instead of a 32-mile corridor. Now, as a part of that deal, we agreed that not only would we do the Mid-County Parkway, but RCTC would contribute significant funding to Cajalco Road. So the County of Riverside has a project, the environmental document has recently been put out for public review, that RCTC would contribute funding for the widening of Cajalco Road between the 215 and the 15. And so that's why we are building additional widening between Placentia and Cajalco Road. In addition to that, we agreed to start looking at an Ethernet corridor. So essentially, that stretch between 215 and 15 will actually now be served by Cahelco Road widening and Ethernet widening. So two existing corridors being widened instead of a new one going through the hills.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for now.
Councilman Rab?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Meyer, for the presentation. It's good to see you in person after seeing you on the screen for several years
I
at
know.
RCA. Is there any option of creating a pedestrian underpass under El Nido, or is that not feasible at this time?
So we looked at that. So it's technically feasible. We could do it. The concern would be that you would basically have a tunnel underneath the roadway that would be a highly attractive, I don't know if you
Like a
want to call it
nuisance?
a nuisance, but generally to have a pedestrian facility that goes underground would probably be a significant safety concern, given its length. So we discarded that discussion just from a safety standpoint. We do build facilities like that. For example, the 60 widening project, which I don't know if any of you have driven the 60 through the Badlands to see how great it looks these days. We have very large 20-foot wide box culverts that we're building under the 60. We're building very large culverts. It can be done. Those are animal crossings in a really remote area. We don't think that putting something like that in a developed area would be safe. We also talked about, was there any way we could try to do something to have like a pedestrian structure go up and over? It, again, physically could be done, but we would be in a position of having a pedestrian bridge that would be very high up in the air with pretty steep stairs to come up and over. So both of those alternatives, neither one of them are very desirable from a safety standpoint. So we did look at it. One of the reasons why in the interim design, we have Evans Road going underneath the new roadway is to make sure that we have pedestrian facilities under there, so it's safe passage for pedestrians, but also to be able to make sure, it's one of your major arterials, so that we wanted to make sure it wasn't impeded. So we did look at it.
Thank you. And then the last question would be, in terms of mitigating the effects of having the expressway or parkway and then the parkway ending at Redlands, what role does RCTC or envision, what sort of safety measures do you envision, rather than that, if the parkway ends at Redlands, there would most likely be a backup on the parkway as people go either up north on Redlands or go a little bit south and hit Placentia. What sort of mitigation measures are you guys making?
So part of what we would need to do in the design phase is look at what the impact would be on all of the intersections there. We have already talked about that connection with respect to trucks and what would we do with the trucks. We know that the city has adopted truck routes. We had talked about we could put in features that could, if the city wanted the trucks to go north on Redlands Boulevard to go up to Harley Knox, we could put in features that would pretty much force trucks to turn right and go north. We would have to do a design that would work for the trucks going in the direction the city wants them to go in, but also look at whatever the traffic impacts would be based on, it tell us what kind of signalization we would need, what kind of left turn lanes or right turn pockets we would need. So that would all be part of the design analysis.
Thank you. And then this question is more directed towards staff. In terms of the trail that mirrors along San Jacinto and goes around Morgan Park, have we considered rerouting that? Because I know it starts at Nuevo and goes up and would be crossing Orange, and then it would be directly under the Mid-County Parkway. Have we looked into possibly rerouting that trail along the Evans underpass?
We have not looked at that yet. As we progress with the project, with design, that would be something we would definitely have to take a look at that, but that's not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you so much for the opportunity and for the mayor for inviting you to come out to speak, and to your committee for giving us the consideration and if you could relay that message to them. We really appreciate them taking consideration of the city of Paris and how we feel about this project. So my opinions I'll reserve because a lot of this happened way before my time on council. And even just looking at the alignment considerations here on the map, right off the bat, the alternative 4 would have appeared to be a better choice just because of the units that it's 92 units. That's a large number of displacement that will be happening based on the alternative route that we're going with at this point. So in totality, my recommendations is to hold off on the project until there is enough funds to be able to complete the project in its totality. And I know that you mentioned that estimates have been done in 2013 pricing, and that it might be a lot different these days, right? Funding?
So the numbers I showed you tonight, the 2.8 is, we updated our old numbers. So the old numbers for this stretch were about $1.5 billion. Updated to today's prices, it's about 2.8 for the whole corridor. So at this point, once we start getting in the $1 billion range, it almost doesn't matter if it's $1.5 billion or $2 billion. It is still so much more money than we have that we're not going to be able to get there, which is why our commission has told us come up with fundable, buildable segments to get something built on the ground so we can continue to build from there.
So then my question is, would expanding other options, like you mentioned, Ethernet, Cajalco, would that be more feasible or reasonable, or?
Those are very important corridors, and they need to have additional funding for them. There's no
Okay.
doubt about that. Cajalco will probably be the one that will go first because it's much further along in the environmental process. However, those won't solve the east-west transportation issues east of the 215. The reason we were doing this was to provide more east-west mobility for the communities of Hemet, San Jacinto, Paris, and the county of Riverside unincorporated areas. So widening Ethernet and Cajalco west of the 215 aren't going to solve any of the transportation-related issues on the east side.
Okay. And just a little bit of feedback. I commute to San Jacinto, so as of now, I'm really grateful that I don't sit in freeway traffic. So that's just something that I'm considering as well, is that I know we're trying to be proactive and plan for the future, but as of now, I feel like that commute is pretty comfortable compared to if I were to travel down to Riverside or, hopping on the 215, et cetera. So all in all, my comments are to hold off on the project until we could have the ultimate plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers?
Yeah, I'd just like to give a little bit of clarification. When we evaluated this project way back before 2011, we had several workshops and we looked at several different alignments, and there were a lot of environmental reasons why we picked the alternative 9. A lot of it had to do with the lake and the dam and some issues that we discovered there that it would not have been a safe alignment. And I think Ann remembers those conversations. And we were concerned with the dam and the overflow of the lake at that time. So we were not in support of the project, but we knew that we had to have transportation needs for the corridor, and we had to come up with one solution, and that's why we did select the alternative 9. And it's hard being responsible for a city, but also looking at the regional needs of the area and knowing that the transportation needs are great to get people from the east to the west, and how you have to communicate that, and looking at the best interests of our residents and trying to make decisions. So it wasn't an easy decision back then when we made that decision. And now looking at, because of the funding, looking at alternative ways. Sometimes in life you do have to be a little flexible and look at situations to help the transportation needs of the community. Nobody wanted to destroy homes or even one house, but in the interest of the future and future transportation needs, we made that decision. And as we look at alternative routes now, and we don't have the funds to do the entire project, the ultimate project, sometimes you do have to support an interim decision. And that's what I looked at. And I would actually support the interim decision.
Council, anybody else, any more questions before I go? Ann, thank you so much. As my colleague, Councilwoman Rogers explained, I echo a lot of what she's saying, and I wasn't here back then. I have to wear two hats, unfortunately. I sit on the RCTC Commission. I sit on the RCTC Projects and Programs Committee, and I appreciate my colleagues supporting my colleagues here's position. But I'm in between a rock and a hard spot because I have to make decisions as a whole what's good for the region, not just for City of Paris, because I sit on a regional commission. I understand everybody's frustrations. One of my biggest frustrations is the high school has now popped up since that event. I've explained that to you many times. It baffles me in this region how schools are built with only one road going to the school. It's incredible. Being born and raised in Los Angeles, you don't find that. And I was a former school board member, and I had to deal with a lot of issues with traffic, with parents complaining and even employees. And now I'm a mayor, and it's the same issue. I'm still here. I haven't left the area, and I'm the mayor now. And it's like this particular project is going to create another one of those congestions, unfortunately, to limit only to Evans. I do want to make a point, though. It's the Parkway itself is only going to be at 20 feet, I thought, not 40 feet. If we were to add a cross bridge over, that would put it at 40, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
The roadway itself
The roadway is.
is going to be 40 feet. Wow, okay. So, and you heard my colleagues with the traffic. I mean, that is a big concern. And we have, and that's a big complaint that we receive from our customers as well, our clients, our constituents, is all this truck traffic. And we finally got our truck routes in place, revised them. We've got signage going out so our police can start enforcing. And then this will be another, challenge again. So I want to clarify something. We're going to meet again. Are we taking this to the full commission, or is it going to go back to projects and programs again?
So what I would be proposing at this point at RCTC is that we will go back to the March 28th, Plans and Programs Committee I would report on my presentation here. I would report on the feedback. The city would be welcome to make additional comments, and then we would seek direction from our committee. So I don't know if our committee took action. For example, if the city's position remains that it's either the full facility or no project, and that's shared with our committee, and our committee gives us direction to deprogram the funding on Mid-County Parkway, move the money to another project, that would need to go to the commission because this project is in the commission's 10-year delivery plan that's been approved by the full board.
Right.
So in order for us to stop work on this, we would need the board.
We do that as the board, as a commission for RCTC. That's going to jeopardize the EIR.
It will.
Or are there other projects that you can keep it alive?
There are no other projects that could keep it
So-
alive.
And we, correct me if I'm not wrong, but we spent in excess of $30 million for that EIR.
We spent in excess of probably $60 million on that
After the
EIR.
payoffs.
So
So-
to date, we've spent $163 million on
Melody.
this project, and Marlon, how much is Placentia? Interchange.
Placentia is about 50-some million.
So the Placentia interchange is about 50 million. So we would not have built the Placentia interchange had we known we were not proceeding with this project. So the commission has invested a lot of money in the corridor. So they would need to make the decision to stop. If we stop and the environmental document is dormant for a certain number of years, it would basically become unusable, and we would need, any future project would need to start over with a new EIR.
Yeah. So, you know, as a mayor and concerned resident myself, I mean, I live here too, it's gonna affect me, but I'm also a taxpayer, and what a waste of money that would be if we lost this. I'm in the position to support it. I'm not pickle-tink about it, but I would really request that we, the RCTC, go back and look and possibly put in an underpass like we're doing at Evans at El Nido. But is that height of 40 feet making it difficult to do that as well?
So actually, instead of making it a pedestrian crossing,
I would
to
never,
make it,
yeah, pedestrian crossing is way too high, and I would never do a pedestrian tunnel. That's not even an option. That's nothing but problems. I'm saying, can we do an underpass like we're doing at
we'll look at it.
Evans?
We'll look at it.
Okay, so council, I've only heard one person stake their position on this right now. If I need more comments or some input from you guys for direction. If you want some more studying done, as I just asked her to do now, we can wait to hear back from them, or you guys have to. So anyway, at this point, Councilman Rabb, you had a comment?
Yes, I was going to wait for public comment.
Okay,
But I had my comments.
gotcha.
Okay, same thing.
All right. Let me open a public comment and first and see if we got any requests to speak. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
All right. Okay, Rabb, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Vargas, regarding your comments earlier. Like all of my colleagues, I'm torn regarding this project. I understand as an elected council member and an individual that serves on regional boards, we have a duty first to our actual constituents, the residents of Paris, but we also have a duty as stewards of public land for the residents of Riverside County, a county I've lived most of my life in. At first, when we were given this option about doing phasing the project out into two separate phases, I was completely against it. I would be open to moving forward on phase one, provided certain conditions are met, or at least thoroughly explored. I think Mayor Vargas made a very good point regarding El Nido and providing a traffic access on that, because we are essentially dividing our city up into, you know, growing up, there's always been a division between south of the 215 and north of the 215. We're kind of adding another division to the city, and I think having that underpass on Nido would help bring the city, keep the city together. The other thing is I would like with staff to work with the commission about rerouting that trail. It's very important. A lot of the residents love that trail. It's been a real highlight, and it's really benefited our community. It would be bad to have that blocked off with the freeway. And then the third condition, probably the most important condition, is the truck traffic. Once it hit Redland, we don't want any of the traffic going down Placentia, even though it is the most expeditious route, just right on Placentia, hop on the freeway. But we have homes there, we have our park there. And we also want truck traffic going south on Redlands, because there's a lot of residential there, a lot of ranch houses that were built in the 70s and 80s, just directly south of Redlands. If those matters are explored with the commission, and there's a good faith effort among all the parties involved in exploring or potentially mitigating all the negative impacts, I'd be in support of the project. And then the other issue I'm worried about is, I know the county has plans over in the Nuevo Lakeview area of putting a lot of industrial, and I think that's what a lot of residents are kind of mad about, is you're building this freeway and we're not building it for the residents of San Jacinto, Hemet, or essentially building it for more warehouses. And I think what we've seen over on Cajalco, where the county has basically put warehouses up and down and there's no grocery stores for our friends and cousins and family over in Mead Valley, I think that's graded a lot of people the wrong way. And I know these are decisions that were made prior to a lot of the supervisors getting on. I think those concerns really need to be addressed, really need to be vetted. And if those concerns are hashed out with the city, the county, RCTC, I think we can move forward on phase one of the project. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I'm taking notes of the things that we need to take a look at in the coming days. This is very helpful feedback. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. So you know, I do remember it was about 2013, 2014 was the last time you came here. I know it was right before Councilman Rab was elected, and I came and spoke as a resident, and at that time, you know, it was the first time I ever seen it, and I was opposed at that, and I might be the first council member here to be publicly opposed. I was not a council member at the time. But I do respect the past decisions of our council. You know, I think it's important that we do that to get a reputation of you know, kind of sticking to our concerns. But the project that we're seeing before us is not the project that our council approved at the time. And I get there's many factors and stuff going on, but my concern is that we're not building the project that we originally signed up for. So. You know, I know that several of us, myself included, has always said that we got to stop building these things in interim, and then we got to come later on. And I got to be honest, I don't think anyone knows when the ultimate will come. So this interim project is most likely going to be the permanent project for a long time. I can foresee that happening. You know, I was always told when I got on the council, it's never going to get done in my lifetime. But then here we are seeing an interim project, but I can't see us doing the ultimate for a very, very long time. You know, my constituents elected me to improve the quality of their life. And so my priority is to our residents. And I just know that this project, the way it is right now with the interim, is going to create a traffic nightmare. It's going to be congestion. It's going to be a lot of pollution for our residents. You know, I do think it's important that the city of Paris is a good neighbor to the other residents that live in other cities, but my priority is the residents here in the city of Paris. So for that one, I would be willing to approve the ultimate to approve the ultimate project because it's what our past council did approve, but I can't support the interim as presented in this case. I would be open to looking at different alternate routes though. Thank you.
What type of alternates you talking about?
Well, I know in the past there was different alternates that we looked at.
Oh, you mean altogether?
Yeah. So I know that the past council they did approve the current one, which was alternate 9.
Alternative 9, yes.
But my concern with that is that things have happened a lot since that time. Things have changed. Houses have built. Schools have been built. So if possibly to look at some other possible route would be so something to possibly consider because taking out those homes is going to be one thing affecting our park, Paragon Park, dealing with the school, dealing with the there's so many things that have happened since then, and I do concur with Councilman Rab that I feel like we're going to have obviously an increase of truck traffic from the east coming through, which I mean, if RCTC is paying for it, obviously, it's understandable that they're going to allow trucks, but I don't think that this interim project is ready for the nightmare of trucks that we're going to be seeing from the east coming to the 215. And then from the 215, I think improvements on Cajalco will help, but I mean, it's really bad. The 215 today is really bad, and I think this is going to make it worse. So that's my concern.
Thank you for your feedback. I understand your concerns. I do not envision a scenario where RCTC would go back and reanalyze any of these other alternatives. The environmental process just to get this approved took almost 10 years. And the alignment was chosen based on the city's direction. So I don't see RCTC spending additional funds to reopen the environmental document to change the alignment to go back up north. I don't see that.
Right,
As
which is complete. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But I did have another question though. Instead of my comments, if the interim project was approved today and it got built, let's say I don't know 2 years from now, how long before the ultimate gets built?
I can't give you a date on that.
Okay.
This is really all a function of money. So one of the examples I've frequently used with both the Mid-County Parkway and the 79 realignment. So we have another project sitting out here with San Jacinto and Hemet begging us to start. The 79 realignment, which runs from Lambs Canyon, north-south, all the way down to the Winchester area. Both of those projects are billions of dollars. So my favorite comparison is the 210 corridor in San Bernardino. So the 210 corridor in San Bernardino took decades to get it fully built the way you see the 210 now. It took decades to obtain the money, to buy the right-of-way, and it was built segment by segment. And it's a painfully slow process. It's very difficult to explain to people how it even makes sense that a project can take decades to build. And it does, and it's a matter of money. So I can't answer your question. I can't make any promises as to when an ultimate facility would be built. It's completely a function of how much money we have available.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, there's no consensus here other than to go back and work on some issues. I just want to reiterate to everybody on this council that we are responsible up here for all our constituents, and one of the issues is financial issues, and we're talking a lot of taxpayers' monies here that I'd hate to see get thrown away. The EIR itself, like I said, it was in the neighborhood of 30 million, but in totality to this date, we're talking $163 million that this city has benefited from, considering the Placencia on-ramp, off-ramp. Everybody's going to love and take advantage of that, and then we're just going to stop. I can't see that. This city council, the city of Paris, approved this back in the day, and since then have allowed a school to be built, homes to be built, knowing that there was going to be a Mid-County Parkway. That's the kind of issue I got to deal with when I talk to my constituents. You know, they were already made aware of this when they bought their homes. I mean, if I was here during that time, I don't think I would have, approved something to go up knowing that you're going to turn around and take it down. I mean, anyway, I don't want to keep director here, or executive director, tied up any longer. No one has any more questions, and thank you so much for coming out, and your staff. And
Mayor, if I may.
please get back to our city council as soon as, or city manager, as soon as possible. This way, because if we have to, we'll do a council briefing and rediscuss. We'll regroup to try to make the meet for the March 28th meeting.
Certainly.
City manager?
I apologize. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to recommend, I know this is a business item, but for the purpose, so Ms. Mayor can go back and report to her committee clearly, if we can get a consensus with the direction as to the 3 items that Councilman Rabb had recommended. That would be very helpful.
Well, I think he mentions 2. We gotta just, so the first one I asked for was the underpass of El Nido. Councilman Rad, can you specify your 2 others? Pathway is one of them.
The other 2 was trail access regarding the San Jacinto Trail. I'd like to see how the trail would be impacted by the Mid-County Parkway. And then the last one, probably the most important one for our residents, is truck traffic. Once it ends at Redlands, routing that truck traffic up north to Harley Knox rather than having it go slightly south and get on Placentia. And then I guess another component of that, could be a 4th issue, is also regarding single occupant or single vehicle traffic. We want to make sure that once the parkway ends, those vehicles are slowed down between the end of the parkway and the freeway. We don't want them going slightly south down Placentia right in front of our park. Or perhaps if there's no way to do that, maybe we can redo our park where how the parking lots in the front, you have the playground kind of close to Placentia, maybe redoing that.
Well, when they come to an end, they're gonna come to either a signal light or a stop sign. So they're gonna start from ground zero again.
Yeah.
Then they have to make a left, then make a right, so. But
It's just mitigating, slowing that traffic down so pedestrians a lot of people walk around Paragon Park. It's really taking into consideration the residents in that area. So those are my 2 concerns. I echo your concern regarding El Nido, and then potentially a sub-concern under truck traffic.
Okay, that's 2 of us. Anybody else will consent to that?
I do.
So you got the consensus there, okay, Madam Madam City Manager, you got it?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. And?
Thank you.
Clear?
Yes, I've been taking notes. Thank you very much for your time, your input. It's very much appreciated. As I mentioned, our board members clearly indicated it's important that the city of Paris's concerns were acknowledged, understood, and that we look to see what we could do to see if we could come to some sort of agreement with us proceeding. What we will do immediately is we will immediately start working on these. Some of these are topics we've looked at before. We'll coordinate with the city manager and city staff so that they can provide you with additional information and feedback for your further consideration. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Ann.
you.
Thank you. Marvin? Okay, moving on to item A is our public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Anybody in the audience at this time wish to speak on any item that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 9, our approval of the minutes. 9A is consideration to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on February 22nd, 2022 of the City Council and all the other entities as listed on our agenda. There are no comments or questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve. A motion by Councilwoman Nava and second by Councilwoman Rogers. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. And just for clarifications for members who are viewing us, we all here are in presence, so we will not be having to conduct a roll call votes. Item 10 is consent calendar. Consent calendar are items normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. We will have public comment and limit it to 3 minutes. Does anybody in the council have a wish to pull anything? Okay, Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilman Rab. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 11 is our public hearings. Continue. This is the Benefit Zone 123, the City of Paris Flood Control Maintenance District Number 1, given the final approval of the engineer's report and levying the assessment for the fiscal year 2021-2022. This will be introduced by our city engineer, Mr. Stuart McKibben.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, city staff. Daniel Louis from Welldown Financial will once again make this presentation.
Project DPR 18-11 is a construction of a 148,000 square foot warehouse distribution building within the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. As a condition of approval, the project is required to annex into the city's 3 maintenance districts to pay for benefits and annual costs associated with this property once it's developed. The proposed maximum annual assessment for the project is $5,373.94. On January 11th, the City Council approved the resolutions for intent of the annexations and set the public hearing for tonight. At this time, staff is asking the mayor to open and close the public hearings. Following the public hearings, the city clerk may open the ballots. There is 1 ballot per district. If there is no majority protest, then the City Council can consider the approval of the resolutions confirming the annexations. Unless there are any further questions, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Daniel. Council, anybody have any quick comments or questions before I open up the public hearing? Seeing none, then open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Very good. We'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, can you open up the 3 ballots, please?
City of Paris annexation of DPR 18-11 Maintenance District Number 84-1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of DPR 18-11 to benefit Zone 161, Landscape Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes. City of Paris annexation of DPR 18-11 to benefit Zone 123, Flood Control Maintenance District Number 1. The ballot is marked yes.
Very good, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll request a motion on the three resolutions. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Corona, second by Councilwoman Rogers. Please call the vote.
Motion approved.
Thank you. 11B is consideration to adopt proposed resolution numbers next in order and the first reading of the proposed ordinance number next in order for the formation of the proposed City of Paris Community Facilities District number 2022-1, Willow Bend of the City of Paris, the CFD. The CFD is located south of Lemon Avenue and east of Evans Road, which is zone number 1, and north of Nuevo Road and west of Evans Road, zone number 2. This will be introduced by our Director of Finance, Mr. Ernie Reyna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. For this particular presentation, I will have Jim Fabian of Film and Roll-Up make this presentation.
Thank you, Ernie. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Jim Fabian of Fieldman Roll-Up and Associates. Great to see everybody tonight. Tonight we have a public hearing for CFD 2022-1 Willow Bend. I'm going to walk through a very short history of this particular CFD. Back in 2005, CFD 2005-1 was formed. It had 4 improvement areas, 2 of which were developed and 2 of which sat dormant for quite some time due to the Great Recession. CFD improvement area number 3 and 4 within 2005-1 were ultimately developed for 245 homes. Those homes are occupied, bonds were sold, and residents have been paying the special taxes on the CFD since that time. As I mentioned, the 2 other improvement areas have sat dormant. Back in early 2021, we received a request from a developer who had purchased the property to dissolve CFD 2005-1 for those 2 dormant improvement areas and create a new CFD that also included track number 33338. This was taken to the Ways and Means Committee on June 3rd, and it was they gave us approval to move forward with this action. Then on January 25th, we came before the City Council for approval of the resolution of intention to form the new CFD and to levy the special taxes within the CFD. You also adopted a resolution of indebtedness. The maximum amount of indebtedness for this future CFD would be $17.5 million. At some point in the time in the future, after the development has started and homes are built, we would be coming back to issue CFD bonds, but that's out in the future. Again, this is an overview of the CFD, the 2 different zones. We'll have approximately 278 homes within the 2 improvement areas. We will be funding improvements that will be owned by the City of Paris and then also EMWD. some drainage and water improvements. There was a JCFA that is on for approval tonight that was also approved by the Board of EMWD earlier this month. Again, Zone 1 is on Lemon Avenue, east of Evans Road. That is the larger of the two. It's about 208 residential units, and then Zone 2 is approximately 70 residential units. These are the special taxes that homes within the two zones will pay. As you can see there, it ranges from $2,900 to about $2,300. These are the current rates, and they will be escalated by 2% per year. Again, tonight, the CFD in front of you for approval meets all the terms and conditions of your goals and policies. It does allow for a 2% escalator. The term of the CFD will be for 50 years from 2022-23. And as I mentioned tonight, we're conducting the public hearing proceedings to approve the CFD. So tonight in front of you, we have three resolutions. We have the resolution to actually do a notice of cessation of a special tax lien for the previous CFD 2005-1 on these two improvement areas that will no longer be a part of that CFD. That's a separate and distinct action. Will Dan, your special tax consultant, will record that notice of cessation of special tax lien with the county. Then we start, the next resolution will be to levy the special tax within the CFD, and then also to determine the necessity to incur bond indebtedness, as I mentioned, into the not to exceed amount of $17,500,000. After approval of these resolutions, we'll call for the special election. The city clerk has received ballots from the property owner that she'll open up, and if it's a yes, we'll proceed to the next part of the process.
Very good, thank you. Council, anybody have any comments or questions before I open up the hearing?
Just wanted to mention that, again, after the ballots are open, we will have a resolution declaring the results. You will also approve a resolution that will approve that JCFA with Eastern Municipal Water District that I mentioned earlier that had been approved by their board. And then you'll have the first reading of the ordinance of the special tax for the CFD. Next steps would be at your next meeting, you'll have the second reading of that special tax ordinance, and then that ordinance will come effective 30 days later on April the 29th.
Thank you. Open up the public hearing at this time. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Going to close the public hearing. Okay, at this time, I'll call for a motion on the first three resolutions. A motion by Councilwoman Nava, second by Councilman Rab. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you open up the ballot, please?
Community Facilities, District Number 2022-1, Willow Bend of the City of Paris, Special Bonds, Special Taxes, and Appropriations Limit Election. The ballot is marked yes.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll call for a motion on the remaining two resolutions of the first reading of the ordinance. I have a motion by Councilwoman Nava, second by Councilman Rab. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 12 is our business items. We've already heard 12A earlier this evening on the Mid-County Parkway. 12B is introduction of healthy options at checkout campaign for a healthy Paris by public health advocates. This will be introduced by Director of Community Services, Ms. Sabrina Chavez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Public Health Supervisor Crystal Lopez will be introducing this item.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, and City staff. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Public Health Advocates Representative Ms. Monica Guerrero, who will be introducing the Healthy Options at Checkout campaign. The city partnered with Public Health Advocates in 2017 for the Children's Healthy Beverage Ordinance, where Paris was the first city in Southern California to adopt this policy. Now, Public Health Advocates is looking to partner with the city again to have Paris be the first Southern California city to implement a new campaign on healthy checkout options. And Ms. Guerrero will be providing more details on this campaign during her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council and City staff. As Crystal said, my name is Monica Guerrero. I'm a program specialist with Public Health Advocates, and I want to tell you a little bit about the campaign that we've been working on here in Paris. Before I jump into healthy options at checkout, Public Health Advocates, we like to center public health, justice, and equity in health. We do this by conducting research, policy development and tracking, technical assistance, and community education and mobilization. Paris Healthy Options at Checkout campaign. Our goal for this campaign is to implement an ordinance in the city of Paris that mandates grocery stores and convenience stores replace junk food in checkout aisles with healthier snack alternatives. Our funders for this campaign are the Center of Science in Public Interest. Our partners are Boys and Girls Club of Inland Valley, which includes Paris Clubhouse, and our Love for Life partners. Now, our commitment to public health here in Paris has shown as Crystal indicated. We did this by Healthy by Default Kids and Kids Meals Beverages back in 2017. This established Paris as a national leader in prioritizing health for children and families. The ordinance worked symbiotically with goals outlined in Live Well Paris. Now, Healthy Options at Checkout campaign will continue such recognition for the city of Paris for being the first city in Southern California to prioritize health in retail environments. Now, when we talk about retail environments, our current food environment really undermines our consumers' choices. So food choices are strongly affected by the people and environments. The picture you see before you is what you usually find at checkout aisles. Now, I know I've been guilty of those last-minute purchases where I am trying to reach for a snack, but all I see are candy bars, chips, and soda. And that is exactly what our Paris residents are experiencing. So making unhealthy foods and beverages available to consumers while they wait in checkout aisles undermines their consumer efforts to purchase healthier foods. Now, we did some polling with FM3 polling to conduct aptitudes and perceptions for the campaign in the city of Paris. A total of 414 Paris residents were polled. 3 of 5 respondents said knowing that junk food company marketing tactics makes them more likely to back the policy. Now, there are stores within the city of Paris that already have commitments to healthier options. We have Rite Aid and Aldi's, whom I have reached out to and made contact with and have expressed interest in supporting the ordinance. Now, as we move on to talk about Paris health statistics, we see here that childhood obesity and overweight statistics for the city of Paris are 4% over the state statistics. And for adults with prediabetes and diabetes, we are at 7%, almost at 10%, very close, and it has been increasing over the years. Now, this is alarming because chronic health illnesses are really undermining our community's health in this city. And as we move forward, we have been experiencing, we have been subject to the effects of COVID-19, and we know that people with chronic illnesses are are at higher risk for contracting this disease and having having more stronger effects to this disease and possibly leading to death. So as we go in to explain the polls from the Paris residents. I have provided a few quotes that you see before you. Paris residents have said that many times they have to go out of Paris to buy healthy food. Parents of children are struggling to go through checkout without having their children cry for chocolate or candy. And there's just not that many healthy options around. Overall, because of this polling, we were able to conclude that 77% of Paris voters support the Healthy Options at Checkout campaign. Now, we have been conducting some community in action phases. Love for Life provided a group of 30 parents and community members who attended 6 workshops. Our workshops detailed the determinants of health, why focus on healthy food. We outlined the policy adoption process, the importance of stored assessments, which we have conducted, consulting goals and value narratives from those residents themselves, and providing their narrative projects, which they are currently working on. All of these items, as well as other items for our campaign, can be found in our community toolkit. This is a public access toolkit that I'd be happy to share with all of you here today. It will list the fact sheets and infographics for our campaign, our resident narratives provided by the residents from Love for Life, and some of the Youth Advisory Council students. We have provided some checkout aisle assessment results, some letters of support from our allies, photos taken at stores and of our residents, food marketing and store layout reports, and our campaign pledge cards. The next steps for this campaign is to work with local partners, Love for Life and Paris Clubhouse, in expanding campaign knowledge across Paris community, to produce adult and youth narratives detailing their stories and importance of healthy retail, continued research and outreach to local stores, big and small, to assure their voices are heard as part of the community, and to produce, distribute, and collect data from resident and store managers through surveys and pledge cards. And finally, to bring forth a draft ordinance to City Council based on the community input that we collect from all of these phases. Now, this concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that the City Council's direction, including if the City Council would like to proceed with this campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. All right, Council, anybody have any comments or questions? I think you did such a great job. Oh, there we go. Councilman Rab?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I was reading the agenda packet. I know it mentioned healthy options, and I think there was a sugar limit for that. Can you explain the sugar limit? And I think, too, what's the definition of healthy? Because I know sometimes people think, trail mix is healthy, and it could be a trail mix with like a lot of candies or, different things like that.
Of course, thank you for allowing me to expand on that. So this, the healthy ordinance would replace any junk food item with nutritional values that have 5 grams of added sugar. Anything above that cannot be on these checkout aisles. And anything above 250 milligrams of sodium would not be allowed in these checkout aisles. Now, for reference, the daily dose amount of sodium for an adult is 2,300 milligrams, which if you have a Lay's chips and a Coke bottle, personalized sized, you are more than halfway there.
Just a follow-up question regarding that. Regarding the sodiums, so a pack, say, like a Planters peanuts. I don't have it in front of me, but like Planters peanuts, the regular salted kind. What's the sodium in that versus maybe just typical roasted peanuts? If you know, I don't know either.
I wouldn't know the exact difference, but I know that the sample ordinance from Berkeley outlined all of these differences, and I would be happy to provide that ordinance itself.
If you can provide it, I'd appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Councilwoman Alva?
Thank you. Thank you, Monica, for this great presentation, and I appreciate the work that you're doing here in our community. I feel like if implemented, the effects would go a really long way here. And based on the statistic that you shared here, 77% of Paris residents would be in favor of it, so I appreciate that. And this is something that we've met before, so one of my questions was how you would partner with the small businesses. And can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Of course. So the ordinance that we are sampling off of, which is the Berkeley ordinance, was to implement this this policy for stores that are 2,500 square feet and above. These are your large stores like Winco, Food for Less, and Stater Brothers.
Isn't it 25,000 square feet or more?
It's
It was only
2,500. Yes, it's
Thank you.
2,500. Now, we have spoken to community, and the community is very confident that these smaller stores, their smaller convenience stores that they're loyal to, will accede to what the community needs. Now, because of this, they have chosen and have outlined that they would like this policy to be applied on a volunteer basis. So if the store were to want to accede to the community needs, we have discussed some healthy retail stickers, which they seem to be very excited about, community as well as youth, and some of the small businesses as well.
Anybody else?
Yeah, so a quick question about the healthy stickers. You didn't put that on the checkout lines, or?
Signage for checkout lines can be either a sign like you would express at an express line or a 15 items or less line. But the stickers we're talking about would be on the outside of the store, just on the
Okay.
windows.
Okay, to say that, hey, we're healthy compliant kind of deal?
Exactly.
Okay. And then I noticed that you said that you feel like these stores will do it on their own, like willingly do it. So like the stores will willingly change up their thing without being mandated to? Is that?
So we're hoping that the volunteer basis, because of the community input, we're hoping that loyalty, that relationship between community and business will overcome any hardships that may come from this. But the community, like I said, is very confident in the loyalty that they have with these smaller businesses.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Okay.
But it would also be enforced through a municipal code or resolution from the city, right?
Yes, if they are more than 2,500 square feet.
Right. All right. I don't
Okay.
see anybody else requesting this.
Yeah, Mayor, I still got a question. So you're saying that you spoke to Aldi's already, and they're already doing this?
Aldi's has the corporation has a stated interest in nutrition. So I spoke to the manager on site, and he has invited me to speak to corporate with him alongside him. And we are having some discussions. He even invited me to have some of our youth advisory council conduct some surveys outside the store. He sees this as a beneficial ordinance.
Okay, and then you mentioned another store. What other place was that?
Rite Aid also
Rite Aid,
has
okay.
a corporate policy aligned with nutrition.
Okay. But now both of these locations, they also sell cigarettes and alcohol as well too, right?
Yes, they do.
But they're going to continue to be able to do that?
Yes, they will. So this
Okay.
would only apply for checkout aisles or waiting
Or
areas.
just for the candy? Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we've met a few times already. You know, I'm supporting this project. I'm your champion mayor behind this, so. This is not is this just a consensus to go forward with this project? Does it call
Today,
for-
yes, we're looking for some consensus direction, and then we would bring back an ordinance.
All right, I'm all in favor of moving forward with this. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to also support this initiative moving forward.
It's 2, 3, that's all I need. Very
you.
good. Move forward, and then we'll see you at the next one. Appreciate you coming down and giving us the update.
Thank you. It was great to be here. Thank you so much.
Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
Very good. All right, item 12C, continued. Here's consideration to approve the City of Paris General Plan Housing Element 2021 Annual Progress Report. This will be introduced by our Economic Development and Housing Manager, Michelle Ogawa.
Our Principal Management Analyst, Rebecca Rivera, to present on this item.
Thank you, Michelle. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I will be presenting the 2021 Annual Progress Report for the Housing Element. The California Department of Housing and Community Development, also known as ACD, requires an annual progress report to provide data and programming updates on the city's progress towards achieving the goals outlined in the General Plan Housing Element. This annual progress report is based on calendar year, and this will cover January 1st of 2021 through December 31st, 2021. It's important to note that the 2021 is the final year of the previous planning period from 2014 through 2021, and the housing element update for the planning period for 2021 through 2029 is currently under review for certification by HCD. Also, the HCD requires that the City Council approve staff to move forward in submitting the annual report, and the annual reports are due April 1st of every year. To start with our activity updates, this table provides an overview of the activity that occurs during the 2021 calendar year. For building permits issued, there was 205. Units completed were 197. One project was entitled, and there was 164 housing applications received. These numbers represent the general residential development activity. However, none of these units were deed restricted for low-income development, so there was 0 units reported towards the city's regional housing needs allocation, or also known as RENA. And for our programming update, we put together this overview of activities we reported grouped into the housing element categories. Under the use of funding to support affordable housing projects during this reporting year, we continue to fund Habitat for Humanities. Matter of fact, they were awarded additional $75,000 for their minor home repair program. In addition to that, last year, they were only focusing on seniors. However, they went ahead and opened it up for anybody who lives within the city of Paris and meets HUD's Riverside County income limits as well. The city was awarded a local early action planning, or what we call it, LEAP grant, in the amount of $300,000. This is a planning grant that will be put towards streamlining development process for affordable housing projects. Also, in 2020, we were awarded permanent local housing allocation funding, and it was reported that we were awarded that grant. However, for this reporting year, there is an extension for exclusive negotiation agreement for Grapevine development approved by the City Council of 2021. For the energy efficiency, 795 permits issued to homeowners for installation of solar panels. In addition to that, we continue our partnership with Fair Housing Council of Riverside County. They are funded through CDBG. And also within the 2021 reporting year, we co-hosted community forums, town halls, and housing assistance pop-up events, which we had in different parks within the city limits. And within these pop-up events and these forums, we discuss housing discrimination, the tenant rights, landlord rights, also housing assistance programs that we offered through the housing division. As for homeless, we continue providing, we have a contract with Social Work Action Group for homeless services. In addition to that, within the 2021 year, it was approved for an additional homeless outreach team deputy. We continue on the homelessness subcommittee. In addition to that, we created the CDBG temporary hotel voucher program as well. And as of now, we help 28 individuals within that program. Currently, for the 2021, I apologize, the housing rental mortgage assistance program, we provided 27 households that were awarded, and for the utility assistance program, 23 households were awarded as well. In addition to that, under Section 8, the City of Paris administers a Section 8 program. However, if anybody calls for services under Section 8, we refer them to Riverside County for that specific program, and 539 residents of Paris were awarded within the 2021. And we also implemented the first-time home buyer program, and it was launched. However, we didn't receive any application within the 2021 reporting year. Recommendation, staff recommends that the City Council approves the 2021 housing annual progress report and directs staff to submit the report to the California Department of Housing and Community Development. That concludes my presentation. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Council, anybody have any questions or comments? You did real good.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem.
Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment?
No, sir.
IT?
No, sir.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Councilwoman Rogers, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call a vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, 12Ds, Police Department Annual Update. This will be introduced by our Chief of Police, Captain Matthew Sims.
Actually, I'll be giving it.
Oh, given by our Assistant Chief of Police, Lieutenant Portillo.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, staff, and residents of Paris. My name is Mike Portillo, and for the past 3.5 years, I've functioned as your Assistant Chief of Police. I'm here to go over our year-end 2021 report, and that's of your what you contract the police department or sheriff's station. Okay, so I'm going to go over sheriff's contract, the staffing levels, calls for service, population response time, community services, and the different teams that we provide, and moving forward. Didn't realize that. Okay, so your contract covers 74 sworn deputies. Now that's of all ranks. That's lieutenants on down, down to deputies, corporals, investigators, all ranks. And then 35 non-sworn. That covers sheriff service officers, community service officers, accounting, office staff, and all that. So when you add all that up, it's about 109 staff. And that's assigned to Paris. We also have access to other resources, and that would be, let's say, SWAT, the K-9 team, the bomb team, helicopter, things of that nature. There's not necessarily a line item, but that's what's included in your contract. So response times. I've got a breakdown of response times, for calls of service. So in 2016, you can see where we're at. We're at 52,765. And as of 2021, that's December 31st of 2021, we were at 53,241. And depending on what website you go to, I checked the U.S. Census, and as of 2020, it had us at 78,700 thereabout. So what we are for, actually that was 2020. 2021, we're guessing it's in the neighborhood of about 80,000. And again, it depends on which website you look at. Here's our average response times. So priority 1 is an emergency, life's in danger, stuff like that. Priority 2 is urgent, and then 3 you can see the color coded stuff there, right there. So priority 1, let's say somebody's breaking into your house, it's going to be a priority 1 call. We get there in about 6 minutes and 44 seconds on average. Now some of these numbers, it's give or take, but when you look at all of the calls that we responded to for priority 1, that's the average time, and then so on and so forth. Priority 4, that's going to be your past calls. That's something that, let's say you came home for work and you found your house burglarized. It might take us about 54 minutes to get there. Again, this is average. It's give or take, but when you look at all the calls that we responded to for priority 4, that's the average. So we're slightly better than 2020 in, I think, just about all of them. And 2019, same thing. We're continuously getting better, it looks like.
Got a question real quick, Chief.
Quick question, Portillo.
Sure.
On the response times, so those are in minutes?
Yes.
Okay, so for say urgent, 17 minutes and 79 seconds, is that what that means, or?
Yes. Yeah, there's no threat of life. Nobody's life is in danger. But let's say it's an argument that's pending physical. That would be like a priority 2. Alarm calls are priority 2. So let's say somebody's alarm goes off at a bank or something like that. We often get those. That would be a priority 2 call.
Okay, so I guess the original question I had, because I was thinking it was 17 minutes, 79 seconds, but it's 0.79 of a minute.
Correct.
Not,
Correct.
Okay, 'cause I was,
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
No, that was the question.
That was the question.
Okay, our part 1 crimes. So again, going back to 2016 all the way till now, our murders, you see we have 6 rapes, and then on down the line. I think they're all pretty much explanatory. That different things play a factor on it. As far as I'll focus on the murder cases. Of those murder cases, we have there's one that's still an open case, so I won't speak about that one. Actually, we have 2. The other one is the baby that was found in the dump. Yes. That landed in Paris, but it didn't occur in Paris. So that is still an open case. So I won't elaborate too much, but it did not occur in the city of Paris. All the other ones have been solved. Any questions on that?
If I'm not mistaken, in 2020, didn't 5 of the 7 murders happen between mid-January and late February?
Yes. And one of those cases was the triple homicide that we had at the cemetery. So we had that one. There was another one at, I believe it was AM/PM.
Yeah.
And I am trying to remember.
Paragon Park was one?
Yes, that one. And those are all solved. In fact, all of them for 2020 have been solved. Okay, I'm going to go over community services, volunteers, explorers, and special teams. So our community services, that covers crime prevention and our homeless outreach team. So with that, you have 2 dedicated deputies, and one of them's in the back of the room right now. It's Beatrice Gutierrez. And then we have Deputy Diaz. And a lot of you met him at the walk last week, or a week and a half ago. And then we have 1 community service officer, and I believe we all know her, Nina. She wears a lot of hats. And then in the picture, you have Swag. So that's our homeless team in action. As far as crime prevention, we partner with Swag. We go to apartment complexes and do the neighborhood watch type things, business partners, code enforcement, and on down the line. I will speak a little bit more later on about our ORV and our ALPRs and ShotSpotter. That's something new. It's definitely noteworthy to put on this one. Even though we're getting it this year, it's definitely noteworthy. Now, we did have our ALPRs. That stands for Automated License Plate Readers. I'll come back to that and speak to that in a little bit. Again, just some of the things we do. Partner with Swag. And this is us, or this is a picture of Swag going out there. We are in the picture, or we're actually, I should say, outside the picture, taking the picture. Giving back to the community the different things that we do, events, presentations, and a lot of you actually participate in that as well. Volunteers, currently we have 21 volunteers, 16 explorers. Now that number might be up. We just had another recruitment event, and I haven't got the latest numbers. Because they're juveniles, we have to get parents' consent and things like that. But we're hoping that's going to be up in the 20s now. And then we have 11 mounted posse members. In the picture, I'm sure you all remember this. They took first place in a shooting competition in December. We also have 10 dedicated deputies. Now that's for special enforcement team and problem-oriented policing. So when you add all those together, we've got 10 for that. I believe it's 6 for SET. They handle proactive type things, drugs, gangs, things of that nature. And POP, problem-oriented policing, is more quality of life type issues. And then we have a sergeant that oversees that. Then our traffic team is comprised of 4 motors, 2 accident investigators, one commercial enforcement, a traffic CSO, and a traffic sergeant. Our current sergeant, I think you all remember the previous one, Sergeant Hibbler, he was also motor trained. Our new one, Deputy Bacul, he's also on a motor, so you'll see him on a motor from time to time. So we make the streets safer by education and enforcement. A lot of times we do get some complaints that, oh, you're giving tickets. Well, the tickets are to serve a purpose, and that's to reduce the amount of accidents. So we always, first, we want to educate, and we do that. Oh, okay, so I spoke about the ALPRs, the automated license plate readers. So currently we have two different brands. We have Vigilant, and we also have Flock. So with those, they work together. Vigilant gives us things that Flock doesn't, and then vice versa. So a couple incidents I'll talk about. The T-Mobile case. You see the T-Mobile. This particular case, there was a robbery that occurred, and this was about it was recently, a few months ago. Anyway, in this particular case, somebody saw the type of car, and we were able to get the still shot of him walking up to the actual business, but that didn't identify him. We couldn't use facial recognition, but just based on the description of the car, we were able to find that with the camera systems, put a plate to it, and basically flag that car for a stop. And Moreno Valley actually stopped the car. They had a few crimes in their area as well, but the most serious crime was in Paris. So they stopped the car, and as a result of those cameras, we were actually able to make the arrest. The $53,000 Paris Valley Dodge, we had a victim that lived in Orange County. I believe it was Garden Grove. And turns out they looked at they got a letter in the mail. They were a victim of a fraud. Somebody opened up credit in their name to the tune of, I think it was about $49,000, thereabout. So turns out this person bought a car at the Paris Valley Dodge. So go over there, and we were able to put that together, piece it together, flag that car in the same Flock system. This person's actually local. As a result of that hit, we were able to put it together, tie it together. The true victim, well, you've got two victims here. You've got the person that lives in Garden Grove, but you also have Paris Valley Dodge. And as a result of that particular incident, it's $53,000 worth of things. The guy wrote a bad check to the tune of, I think it was something in right around $6,000 or so. There was some damage.
Please reiterate when Flock started or came online?
Flock came online, what is it, about 3 months ago, roughly, thereabout.
Very good. It's paid for itself already.
Oh. And then there's other. I can go on and on. These are just some of the cases that were pretty cool that just kind of grab your attention. But we do have other cases, and there's several. I reached out to the SET team, to the different special teams, asked them for different different examples of how it worked, and they gave me a ton. This is all that would really fit without making it look too cluttered. Again, I can go on, but the cameras are really good.
And
Now,
just for transparency, that the code number is 459-211. So you tell them what that is.
Sure. 459 is a commercial burglary, or 459 is burglary. This was actually a commercial burglary to Walmart, and there was one other shopping center in Paris. And the way this thing worked out, you see the top left picture. You can't see a license plate in that, but we know what type of car that was. So these cameras allow you to enter the type of vehicle, the color of vehicle, and then from there, just process elimination. Okay, what car went through this intersection at this particular time? We might have to sift through maybe 2 or 3, something like that. But we put the time in. We're able to usually identify our car. There was another instance where a community was broken into. They took some electrical panels. Now, we have that car identified, but we haven't tied the case up just yet. I know this is it's very general the way I spoke about it, but we can get a tip from somebody, from a community member, and usually if we have times and we know what type of car it is, this particular case, I believe the theft occurred right around 4 o'clock in the morning, which is even better because less cars are out at that time. So it makes it a lot easier to identify our particular.
I didn't mean for you to go in more detail, just for our viewers.
Oh,
as
sure,
well as
sure.
council, what 459 means and 211.
I'm sorry, yeah, 211 is robbery, and I have the little gun emoji on there so that it reminds me that it's a robbery with a gun. And so the two down, the two lower ones on the right-hand side, those were robberies involving a gun. Again, through the different systems, the top one was Vigilant, the bottom one was Flock. We were able to identify that and get a successful arrest. Now, the other thing that's up and coming is ShotSpotter, and we don't have that just yet, but it's something to be excited about, and we hope to close a lot of cases. I don't want to say prevent. We'll prevent by arresting our people that are, you've got a very small percentage of the population that are responsible for the majority of crime. So if we get a few key players, chances are, if they're locked up, then that will reduce the crime once they're in jail. Different events that we participated in 2021. We did the National Night Out, the Pit Count. A lot of this stuff was impacted by COVID, but there's several things, and I'm sure this year we're going to be involved in a lot more. Moving forward, these are a few of the things that we're going to be involved with. We have the ORV. That's been a great asset to us.
ORV means?
Off-road vehicle, ORV, off-road recreational vehicle. So that's a great tool for us, and we do use it. We do use it. Just the different outreach operations, again, we're concentrating in the parks. We do partner with code enforcement, and then the different traffic safety operations that we do are just different, checkpoints, click it or ticket, DUI saturation patrols, and things of that nature. And I tried to really stream it down. Do I have any questions? Any questions for anybody?
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Okay, and then with that.
Anybody have questions?
Yes.
Councilman?
Yeah.
Mayor Pro
So
Tem?
going to the to the AL
Automated license plate readers.
plate reader. Okay.
ALPRs.
I'm wondering, do we have any data? I'm not saying right now, but do we have any data to say how much we've recovered versus how much the license plate readers cost the city, to kind of show that it does kind of pay for itself essentially?
It would, we can put some numbers together. It would definitely, it would be taxing, but I believe we can probably do that.
Okay.
It would definitely take some time, but we can, we can't pinpoint it to the nearest cent, but we can definitely
Right.
round it.
Right. So I know when we were in the process of approving it, and I kind of pushed for it. I know Mayor was in the meeting as well too, but and I know that it wasn't cheap, but
No.
I figured, hey, but because so many people were getting their cars stolen and not recovered, so I figured, hey, like hopefully it helps with the recovery, so that way if we see like maybe a list of certain instances or just some data on it,
Something like that.
and that it would justify us possibly expanding it.
Sure.
That's all.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
But just keep in mind, not all crimes involve money. You got crimes,
Right. Well, with property crime, yeah, that's true.
Oh, we've
but
solved.
recovering property.
I don't want to
crime.
say we
You
solved
identify
murders,
someone
but
that
yeah,
committed a murder?
we catch
Yeah,
murders
That
with
in itself
this.
paid for one for a whole year.
Absolutely, but just kind of some data, some form of data. Sure.
Okay, anybody else? Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Lieutenant Portillo. I really appreciate the presentation, and more so, it's great to have this presentation as informational. I know I always enjoy to hear and learn more about it. And just to touch on the resources that you mentioned and how you're able to track and what we're able to allocate in the data and whatnot. I think that's priceless just because of the fact that with these resources available, it's making our community safer. And I don't think there's a price tag to that. And any effect that we can do or any other resources or tools that we can implement, I feel are always worth looking into. And then those are all my comments. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your work that you do.
Thank you.
Very good. Assistant Chief, thank you so much. You have something else?
Yes, I have the very last slide here. It's been a great 3.5 years. It feels like almost like a breakup, but it's not. Don't take it that way. But I want to introduce my, we'll call him my successor.
You serious? You actually took that photo of yourself.
No, I didn't take that. In fact, I didn't know.
You are so
I didn't
cool,
know
dude.
that picture was being taken, but I figured, it shows me driving off. So I figured it was a good.
I'm saying goodbye to my Assistant Chief, Mr. Joe
I was never going to
Cool,
use this picture.
And welcoming our new Assistant Chief in a Class A uniform. Well, okay, got it.
So this is Lieutenant Mark Reyes, and I'll let him come up here and say a few things.
Evening all. What you can't see there is his selfie stick that's pointed out there. He made sure he cut that out. Once again, my name is Mark Reyes, Lieutenant here at Paris Station. I have 26 years on the Sheriff's Department. I spent 5 years of that 26 here in the city of Paris, where I started my patrol time, and I was attached to a set team while I was there for 5 years. I left in 2005. Then I got attached to our Special Enforcement Bureau, which includes our SWAT team, where I was a member of the SWAT team. And then I promoted within and ultimately ended up managing and supervising our K-9 team before my promotion to lieutenant. So I'm here now. I got here in January. I'm learning all of this new city stuff. I've been out of patrol for a minute, but I'm looking forward to this new job and working with all of you folks. Thank you.
Excellent.
Any
Well, welcome
questions of me?
aboard, and give us your cell phone so we can be calling you about 2,
Absolutely.
3 o'clock in the morning. And
I knew that question was coming. Yes, absolutely.
all right, any comments, Council? All right, thank you. It was nice to meet you, Lieutenant. You do have some shoes to fill, but we welcome you to the new position.
Will do. Thank you.
And if I can get the council to join me down below. All right. Lieutenant, on a token on our behalf, we put together some pennies and we got you a little plaque here. So come on up, sir. All right, this is a certificate of recognition issued to Lieutenant Michael Portillo, Assistant Chief of Police for the Paris Police Department. May it be known that with great honor and recognition that the City of Paris commends you for your leadership, dedication, and service to the community of Paris. We humbly thank you for the example that you have set and the standard you upheld. And we wish your guy here luck to follow that. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Take a photo.
Yeah, I'll get in there too. Hey.
1, 2, 3.
Where should I go? End, middle?
Right there. You're not calling? There we go. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, now let's get one welcome our new lieutenant. Like I said, out with the old and with the new.
Out with the
Yes.
Like matching everybody with the Paris Council.
1, 2, 3.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Just make sure everybody's paying attention.
And thank you all. Thank you, appreciate it.
I think so. That's why I just. Okay, before we leave item 12D, was there any public comment for that presentation?
No, sir.
AT?
No, sir.
Very good. All right, that brings us council communications. We all get 30 seconds. We'll start with Councilwoman Ava.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to extend my condolences to family and friends of Al Lander, so my thoughts are with you all. Next up, I have shared with staff the SoCal Goods Movement Communities Opportunities Assessment, and here they are seeking 6 to 8 communities of interest that are disproportionately affected by goods movement, such as Paris has. And to participate in this assessment, these communities will be connected to resources and tools to help leverage the opportunities and mitigate the challenges of the good movement. So hoping that our city of Paris can take advantage of this great resource. Another thing I'd like to mention is that I had the opportunity to attend and participate in the 2022 point in time count. Since my time on council, because of the pandemic, this is the second time that I've participated. And every time that I participate, I gain new insight, new knowledge. And special thank you to Officer Gutierrez and Officer Robles for showing me around and providing me their insight as well. And a great thank you to our city staff and all the various stakeholders such as SWAG, our code enforcement team, and all our city staff again, like I mentioned, for putting this together. This is important this is important for the reason that we need to make sure we have enough resources and funding secured in order to help our homelessness crisis here in the city of Paris. Last and definitely not least, I want to wish everyone here a happy International Women's Day. I am honored to be able to work alongside such great women, and may we continue to inspire, support, and uplift one another. And those are all the comments that I have for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rogers?
First, I'd like to congratulate the Rancho Verde boys basketball team for making it all the way to the CIF playoffs. Unfortunately, they were defeated Saturday night by Venice, but they had a phenomenal season, and only one is a senior, so the juniors will be coming back next year, and they'll be phenomenal. So congratulations to Rancho Verde's boys hoops. And I also want to congratulate all the phenomenal women that are here that I work with. You all are great, every one of you. Be proud, enjoy today. It's a day we get to celebrate the great accomplishments that we have done as women. And all of the guys, would you please clap for all of the women in the audience? And I do want to thank all of the people who have reached out to me in the last couple of days, all the prayer warriors that were praying for my good buddy, Al Landers. Unfortunately, the Lord decided to take him home last Friday night. He did a phenomenal thing for the city of Paris, and if we could adjourn this meeting in memory of Al Landers, that would be great, Mayor.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to wish all the wonderful and important women here for the city of Paris and throughout the world for a wonderful Women's Day. You know, your accomplishments are great, and as time goes on and the world continues, it's the accomplishments of women seem to be greater and greater. I did last month. I joined late last month. I joined Councilwoman Nava and our staff and our code enforcement, law enforcement, and many other people in the point in time count for counting the homeless as well too. We were here up and early in the wet and the cold, but seeing how many of our homeless individuals here in the city live having to sleep in those conditions too, kind of gave us insight and gave us a renewed for a renewed desire to help these individuals off the streets. Last weekend, I joined several of my colleagues in the community unity walk, and also for the Black History celebration hosted by the Paris Valley African American History Committee. It was a great event here, hosted at the city campus here, and just a great event that was being held in person. So many people were very happy to be there. Last Thursday, I can't believe you forgot this one, Councilman Allen, but I joined. Oh wait, but I joined several of my colleagues in the Job Shadow Day. And it was just a great event. It was canceled last year because of COVID, but it was bigger and better than ever. It was just a great event, and I joined some students and going to the Paris skydiving, and just seeing the different jobs that they have there. So they were able to speak to pilots, mechanics, to the cooks that work in the restaurant, to the instructors, to even some of the skydivers themselves, So at one place they had several jobs, and the students were very excited and asking questions. And then, coming back to here and seeing the over 100 students as well too, I was able to speak to them, and many of them were excited about some of the places that they went to. So it was a great event. I want to thank staff for putting on a great event, and for the schools as well too for organizing that. Recently, our neighbor to the south, they just changed some of their zoning to allow warehouses only in their far north, which is obviously adjacent to our far south, which we have many neighborhoods, brand new homes and communities. So it does bring concern to me because for a lot of our residents there, they drive and take Ethernet. But it's starting to be a designated area for warehouses for a neighboring city. So I definitely want to direct staff to keep up to date on what's going on there, and if we could immediately redesignate Ethernet to not be a truck route any longer. And that's all the comments from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Rab?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Vargas. I'd like to start off by giving my condolences to the friends and family of Councilman Al Landers. He served numerous years on the city council. Was first elected in '95, served to '97, was our first directly elected mayor in '97, and came back on the council from 2001 well into the end of 2014. So nearly 20 years on the city council, was instrumental in many of the projects and many of the things that we see in the city and we enjoy in the city today. So I want to send my condolences to Councilman Landers, his friends, and his family, and everybody he's touched in the city of Paris. Last Saturday, along with Mayor Vargas, I attended the Arbor Day event. We were given an education or a presentation on how to plant trees. We also were given a tour on numerous trees on the city council's city hall's campus, and I was surprised that there's actually eucalyptus trees here, and I never really looked up at the trees, and they're different than the ones you're used to. So it was a very good event. I look forward to the tree planting this upcoming Saturday, March 12th at Rotary Park, which is off of Ellis and A Street. It will start at 9 and it'll go to about 12 or 1 o'clock. So if you're looking forward to, if you want to help out your community and plant over 65 trees in the community, this Saturday, Rotary Park, 9 to 1. And also, I want to wish every woman and everyone we work with a happy International Women's Day. We really appreciate the diversity and the thought and the compassion that women bring to elected office and appointed office and all the roles in our city. And I really appreciate that. Last Monday, I attended the Riverside Conservation Authority meeting. It was very insightful. We were provided a presentation, a year-end presentation review regarding the land that's been acquired, and I will share that with my council colleagues. And two other items I went to. I attended the Rites of Passage this past Wednesday at Eagle Wings Church, and there was a talk given by Mayor Barstow, Paul Courtney, and he told the children, many of whom children ranging in age from 12 to about 16 or 17, he told them to look forward within themselves and not to be victims of the system and look forward to what they could do. And it was very inspiring hearing someone who grew up in Barstow, went out to Huntington Beach, went back to Barstow to take care of his mother, and ran for council after being gone for nearly 30 years and get elected to a city you really don't think about. You really don't think of an African-American mayor in the city of Barstow. So it was a very inspiring speech for the children. And lastly, I attended a Read Across America. Typically, I'm unable to attend because I work in San Bernardino, but given the magic of Zoom, I was able to partner with the Triple Crown PTO and zoomed in during my lunch break and read the most magnificent thing to 4 classrooms of second graders. So it was very inspiring to hear the 7 and 8-year-olds get very excited about this book. And it was a very great book. I wasn't familiar with the book. It came out relatively recent. So it was a great experience. I look forward to partnering with the elementary schools and reading in the future to them. So overall, those conclude my comments. I just want to wish everyone a happy March and a happy Women's History Month. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have together participated in Read Across America, and it is very inspiring to do that, and I've been doing it since a school board member. I had the opportunity to hit Verde Elementary this year, and nothing like trying to read a Dr. Seuss book with all the rhyming and what's going on in that book. The job shadow day, it was a very good turnout, as Mayor Pro Tem indicated. I want to thank staff for doing a tremendous job. It was inspiring to see so many kids out there this year, and I'm sure that's a direct reflection of being shut down for the last couple of years. Managed to get to Orange Vista High School for their spring showcase to observe their band, their color guard, their drum line, and they also invited Lakeside Middle School Band over to do a performance as well. The tree volunteering was a great event, as Councilman Rabb indicated. International Mother's Month. Well, I'm married and I got 4 daughters. It's like that every day throughout the whole year. So, but I do wish you all. That's right. I mean, I applaud all the women, and especially in our city, we have a lot of women in high capacities here, starting with our city manager. So, kudos to all of our ladies in our city. Okay. With that, we will move on to item 14, our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to begin with notifying that the on-site, on-campus COVID testing site now has a new schedule due to not as in demand as prior. The testing dates have been scaled back and will take place only Thursday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'd also like to inform or announce that the Community Services Department will be hosting a Take a Hike event this Saturday, March 12th at 8 a.m. at the Frank Eaton Memorial Park. The event is free, will include low to moderate hiking. It's a 2.5-mile hike with prizes, and you can register at our city website. Also, the Public Works Department will be hosting the Arbor Day tree planting event this Saturday, March 12th at 9 a.m. And again, this is thanks to a grant from CAL FIRE. The city will be planting 65 trees along A Street between Ellis and Aspen Lane. You can register as well on our city's website. And lastly, I'd like to extend my condolences to the family of former Councilman Al Landers. I did have the opportunity to work under his leadership while he was on this council. He was a wonderful person. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that takes us to item 15, which is our adjournment. As indicated, we will be adjourning in memory of former Mayor and City Councilman Al Landers, who passed away regrettably on March 4th. As you've heard many stories about Al was very instrumental in a lot of things that have happened here in our city, and maybe one of the biggest one is being part of the team that when they almost faced bankruptcy, and he, along with Councilman Rogers, is still here with us. So we thank him for all his years of service. In addition to that, unfortunately, I'd like to also close in memory of former March Joint Powers accountant technician by the name of Dolores, we all called her D. Megerson. She served 20 years at the March Joint Powers Authority. She was a great proponent of the work that's being done there, and we'd like to close in memory of D as well. Okay, everybody, thank you for being patient. I know we did go a little bit longer than normal, but we had some good things to talk about, so thank you for being here, and to all our viewers as well, and we'll see you all next week, and keep on congratulating all the women out there for International Women's Month.